What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel, King Lister TV. And as you guys already know, it is Batman week here on King Lister TV. So we are moving forward with another Batman topic tonight. Like I told you guys in my first video from last night, I plan on doing a Batman topic all week long to celebrate the 80-year history of my favorite character of all time. I got my boy, one-armed Batman, back with me tonight. I even got Teen Titans Go Robin right here, who keeps falling over. I got my Batman fitted and my Batman history book back there, and of course, rocking another tee here tonight. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Tonight's topic: Troy's top 5 Batman villains that I want to see face off against Robert Pattinson in the new Batman trilogy. A little bit of a disclaimer here for you guys. If you know anything about this movie that's going to come out, they have rumored that Penguin, Riddler, Firefly, and Catwoman will most likely be the villains in the first movie. So I excluded those villains from my top 5 list, and I plan on just sticking to just 5 other villains that I would like to personally see in the new Batman trilogy. Alright, guys? So let's hop right into it. Number 5, Poison Ivy, aka Dr. Pamela Isley, who has been appeared one time in live action, and that was by Uma Thurman in 1997's Batman Robin, which was not a good movie. I don't really blame her performance for that movie, but I thought her performance was a little too, I don't want to say sexy, because Poison Ivy should be a little bit sexy as part of her appeal, but just her performance lacked, in my opinion. But that could just be part of it because the movie was just so ridiculous and bad from the beginning. But anyways, Poison Ivy is a Dr. Pamela Isley was a botanist who had experiments done on her by her professor who was above her. He basically injected her with these toxins, which then gave her powers. She could secrete toxins and manipulative, mind-controlling pheromones. She has immunity to toxins, and she can manipulate plants through the green. The green is, how can I explain it? The green is basically a mystical realm in the DC Comics world that allows people to talk to the plant life if they have that ability, and Poison Ivy definitely has that ability. She is one of Batman's most ferocious female villains. She honestly gets overlooked a lot because, you know, Catwoman is a love interest of Batman. Everybody loves Catwoman. And of course, Harley Quinn is the most popular female character, maybe in all of DC Comics. No, Wonder Woman's probably still more popular, but Harley Quinn is super popular. So I feel like Poison Ivy gets overlooked a lot, but there have been rumors for a Gotham City Sirens movie to come out, and the Gotham City Sirens are Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy. So I think it'd be a great way for them to introduce Poison Ivy into this universe by putting her into a Batman film. Now, I don't think that she could be the main villain for a Batman movie, but she could definitely be a side villain, a number 2 villain. I mean, just think about all the stuff you do with, you know, environmental issues and stuff like that you could pull right from today's headlines and put it into this movie so easily because of who Poison Ivy is and what she represents. It almost writes itself. I think she definitely deserves a second chance on the big screen after the disaster that was Batman and Robin. Okay, moving right on to number 4, another unfortunate casualty. Robin just fell over. Let's pick him back up. Another unfortunate casualty of the Batman and Robin movie from 1997, Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is one of my favorite Batman villains, and it's a shame that we haven't seen him yet in a second time in a live-action movie. Mr. Freeze, aka Victor Freeze, was portrayed by Arnold Schwarzenegger in that Batman and Robin movie, which was a terrible portrayal of that character. But Mr. Freeze is so much more than that ice pun villain that we saw in that movie. He's a genius. He has sub-zero physiology because of the accident that happened to him. He created an exoskeleton suit that gives him not only keeps him alive, but it gives him superhuman strength and durability. And he creates cryogenic weapons, his freeze gun and weapons of that nature that can help him combat Batman and the police and other heroes. One of his origin, his story, is one of the most tragic origins in the Batman mythos. He was a doctor of cryogenics whose wife fell terminally ill, and in order to save her, he decided to put her into a cryogenic chamber and freeze her in order to work on a cure why he basically kept her alive in this chamber. Something happened and it was an accident in his laboratory, which then hurt him and gave him made his body not be able to survive unless it's in sub-zero temperatures, which is why he ended up creating his suit and falling into his life of crime, all because he wants to get the means to be able to continue his medical work on his wife and ultimately save her life. This origin story came from Batman the Animated Series. They created that origin story in an episode called Heart of Ice, which is a phenomenal episode. It was the episode was so well received and loved by critics because it's a kids TV show that took this really adult theme and did it very, very well. There's also an animated movie called Sub-Zero, which is really, really good too. It's a good story. So I really think that they could do a great job bringing Mr. Freeze into live action. I do believe that Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze both deserve a second shot after the Batman and Robin disaster. Let's get them back on the big screen. Number 3, Two-Face, aka Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent, the former district attorney in Gotham City, who had his face viciously melted and assaulted in a courtroom when he was by a mobster who sprayed acid in his face, and when that happened to him, that accident caused him to have a personality break, a split, and he became the villain Two-Face that we all know with the coin flip and all that stuff like that. Obviously, it was a little bit different than Dark Knight if you saw that movie. But Harvey Dent has been portrayed before in live action by Billy D. Williams in 1989's Batman. And then Tommy Lee Jones was recasted as the character when he played Two-Face in Batman Forever. And then Aaron Eckhart, as I mentioned, did it in The Dark Knight. I think the best out of those was obviously Aaron Eckhart in The Dark Knight. Problem with that was that he was overlooked by Heath Ledger's amazing Joker. So he got overlooked in that film. In Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones just did way too much with the character. He was way too exuberant and just over the top with everything he did. He tried to channel Jim Carrey's energy that he brought to the Riddler and put it into Two-Face, and that's not the character of Two-Face. He's a much more criminal mastermind, skilled marksman. He's a good fighter. He's a smart guy. He's a lawyer. He's a DA, so he's a smart guy. He's a great tactician, and I think Two-Face has always been one of my favorite Batman villains. He is a great Batman villain, because Bruce Wayne has a personal relationship with Harvey Dent as well. So there's all that into the story. I think he deserves another chance to maybe be a main villain in a movie and not a secondary villain like he was treated in The Dark Knight and get overlooked by the Joker. I think that Two-Face deserves his own story to be told. Alright guys, let's move on to the top 2. Number 2 to me is Hush. Many of you probably don't know who Hush is. He's a fairly new comic book character. He debuted in 2003 and he's had zero live action appearances in any media. Hush, aka Tommy Elliott, was a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne who became very jealous of Bruce Wayne once Bruce's parents died and Bruce inherited his family fortune. Tommy also came from a wealthy family, and he also wanted to inherit his family's fortune at an early age. He actually went as far as to try to kill his parents by cutting their brakes in their car. His dad did die in the accident. His mom survived, but he ended up killing her later on. Anyways, he becomes a doctor, a plastic surgeon, actually, and the guy's genius. He's skilled hand-to-hand combat. He's a marksman, master of disguise via plastic surgery. He's a brilliant tactician and a manipulator. He's basically the opposite of Batman in a lot of ways. This villain is he is always obsessed with Bruce and wants to destroy Bruce's life. And once he figures out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, he hatches multiple plans to try to stop Batman. He does a lot of crazy stuff. He gets the other villains to basically he manipulates the other villains to attack Batman and wear him down. And one point when Batman is missing, he does plastic surgery on himself to look like Bruce Wayne and steals Bruce Wayne's identity, even as going as far as to convince Catwoman that he is Batman, and then actually cuts out Catwoman's heart. Yeah, the dude's nuts. And he's a great villain. I think it'd be great for the Robert Pattinson trilogy of movies, because I think Robert Pattinson's an actor who is skilled enough and has enough range to portray Bruce Wayne and Batman in the movie, but also Tommy Elliott, aka Hush, in the same film. I think that would be amazing for them to do, and I would love to see Hush get his chance on the big screen. There is an animated movie coming out at the end of July called Batman Hush. I'm super excited for that. I hope it's good. I'm looking forward to that. If you guys are Batman fans, check that out. Okay, and number one, guys, as always, if you're a Batman fan, you should know who it is. The Joker. That's right. And although we've already seen 5 live-action interpretations of this character, if you go back to the 60s with Cesar Romero, 1989's Jack Nicholson, the legendary Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, Jared Leto in Suicide Squad, and now in October we'll get to see Joaquin Phoenix take on this role as well. I think we need to see the Joker in the Batman trilogy. He doesn't have to be in the first movie. He doesn't have to be in the second movie. But if there is a third film in this trilogy, I would like to see the Joker in this trilogy at some point. I don't think you can tell a Batman story over the course of 3 movies without including the Joker. You could do 1 movie, maybe even 2, but in the course of 3 stories telling a Batman tale, a Batman saga, I think the Joker has to be included in it. You know, every Batman's had his Joker. Like I said, you know, if you go back to Adam West, he had Romero. Keaton had Nicholson. Bale had Ledger. Affleck didn't actually get the chance to really interact with Leto, so that's kind of a missed opportunity. And it won't be Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that's coming out in October will be a one-ish standalone movie by itself. It will be its own thing. It won't have anything to do with Robert Pattinson or this Batman trilogy. So we could be a whole new Joker and for a whole new generation to face off against a whole new Batman. And I think that you know, there's always stories you can tell with Batman and the Joker. I mean, they've been fighting battles now for almost 80 years. Batman's been around for 80 years. Joker's only been around since 1940, so it's only been 79 years for him. But almost 8 decades of these two fighting battles. So I think that we need to see that in the new Batman trilogy for sure. I mean, he's a mastermind, and we all know what he is. He's the clown prince of crime, man, and he should be in every Batman story. At least in terms of set of a trilogy of movies, you have to have the Joker in there at least somewhere, some way, shape, or form. So he's definitely my number 1. So again, guys, my top 5 is Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, Two-Face, Hush, and the Joker. Those are Troy's top 5 Batman villains to face off against Robert Pattinson in the new Batman trilogy. I hope you guys like my video tonight. I hope you like my 5 villains. What villains do you want to see Batman face in the new trilogy of films? Any ones you like, you didn't like? Who do you think should be number 1? If you like this video, as always, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Look forward to new Batman videos coming up the rest of the week during Batman Week here at King Lister TV. Alright, guys. See ya.